Between other jobs here in the shop, I've been able to make some progress here on the truck build. In the last episode, you saw me test fit this engine and it worked pretty well, but there were some concerns. So I've done some modifications, and in today's episode of Tool Demos, you'll see what those modifications are, and we'll get this permanently mounted into the truck. Stick around, that's coming up next. So I've got this cross member all installed here, and it looks good. But I've got this 4-inch drop, which isn't enough to clear the oil pan. It looks like I can fit a 6-inch drop and still not hit this tie rod, but I don't think the 6-inch is going to be good enough, and I don't want to mess around with it anymore. So I think the solution here is to go back to the original purchase for that engine mount. Let's get this other one up here. So we'll go back to those originals, and then I can change the engine mounts to accommodate that. You can see that the rubber is broken on this engine mount. Plus, this is designed to mount the engine onto a flat surface, something that's horizontal. And I'm going to be replacing that with a Mustang GT mount, which will give it that 45-degree angle that should match up with the truck. Let's get started here. Here's the Mustang engine mount. Compare that with the old Lincoln. Let's see if that'll fit on there. Wondering what I was doing, show you. The EGR pipe right here coming off of the exhaust manifold comes out pretty far, and it was interfering here on the cab. It's got that lip, so I just put that lip in a little bit. I don't think that's going to do anything structurally, but I think it'll get that EGR just enough clearance so I can drop the engine and transmission and put it back about another 2 inches. All right, there's that clearance between the seam on the cab and the EGR valve, so I've got plenty of room now, no problem there at all. I've got this driver's side engine mount, fits perfectly. That looks really good. Let's go have a look at the transmission cross member. All right, transmission is where it should be. I've got the original mount. That's here. This is the F-150 mount for the original transmission. Those bolt holes exactly fit the bolts that go into the back of this new transmission. So things are working out really well. I'm happy about that. Let's get this thing finished. All right, so we're on the passenger side of the engine here, and I've got this Ford Mustang. It's just an aftermarket engine mount. Got these 2 bolts in here, and let's go back here and we can complain about why I don't like aftermarket parts, and so many people don't. That just doesn't fit. All right, I've got it figured out. You're looking at the inside of the engine mount now. This is the part that mates to the engine. This is the portion towards the rear that was the problem, and these 2 here are the ones that did work. Now I was going to waller out this hole really big just to move it over to where I need it, but what I think I'll do is I'll move these 2 just slightly inboard this way, and then this one just slightly inboard that way. And what I think I'll accomplish there is having holes that are just a little bit elongated instead of 2 that are round and 1 huge oval hole. So let's get that done. I'm going to use a die grinder and a carbide burr. Gonna go about 10 o'clock on this one. All right, we've got these holes slightly ovaled out now. You can see that they're not circular anymore. And hopefully that's gonna get this mount kind of positioned where we need it. So let's go check that out. Here's take 2 on this engine mount. You can see I've got that rear bolt is in now, and so is this forward top one. Let's try and get this in the bottom and make that a trifecta. And it looks like we got it. Awesome. So that's a bit of a bummer. I don't like having to modify parts to get them to fit, but I guess that's what you got to deal with unless you want to go to the dealership. Now, just modifying it with this carbide bit only took a couple minutes, and that's a lot faster than warranting this part out. So that's what I opted to do here. You can choose whichever way you want to do it, but I just wanted to get this thing done so I can put that engine in. The latest problem I've run into is the spacing between these two engine mount brackets, these pedestals here. It's about 2 inches too narrow for the new engine to go in. Now I can't make the engine more narrow, but what I can do, I think, is spread out these pedestals 1 inch to either side. Now you've seen over here, I've got a little bit of clearance between that pedestal and this shock tower, this spring tower. But over on the passenger side, not as much. So what I've done, I've filled this hole here just with the wire feed welder. I'm gonna move these holes inboard 1 inch, which is gonna move this out, but I've got to slice off about 1 inch here to give me room. So let's do that and we'll see what I've got. So that's perfect. Like the way that sits. Let's go ahead and go over here to the other one. Weld up those holes, cut it, bend it, put it back on. Let these cool off. They're still red hot, and as soon as they do, go ahead and grind that down smooth, and we'll be ready to go on to step 2. All right, we're ground up nice and clean. Let's get it over there and bend it up. So I heated up those brackets to about 800 degrees and gave her a bit of a massage here with the 10-pounder. And check it out, that bracket has moved over about 1 inch, and I'm gonna drill those holes and we'll be good to go. All right, I got both of these welded, cut, bent, and painted. I just put a little bit of paint on there to keep it from rusting. Green was just the first thing I grabbed on the shelf. So this looks pretty good. And now I have 2 more inches. They were about 16 inches apart there at the middle of the hole. Now we're at 18. Should be perfect. Let's give it a try. right on. Totally awesome. So it's taken a long time to get to this point. So worth it. I am really happy about that. Both sides are in. Yes. All right, here is the driver's side. Just there. You can see the engine mount and the bracket are together. The stud is going through the bracket. Let's go to the passenger side over here. Man, I am really excited. Okay, can you see it? Let's try it from the other side here. There you go. Engine mount right there on top of the bracket. Studs going through it. This thing is in on its factory mounting brackets, which is so cool. Let's have a look over at the transmission. All right, there's the transmission. It's centered perfectly right over its cross member. Let's get that transmission mount screwed in. We can call this done. There's this guy here. This is amazing. If any of you are doing an F-150 project and swapping in a Ford modular V8, wow, is this the way to do it. This had a 460 V8, so that's what it's sized for, and it was also two-wheel drive, so keep that in mind. But yeah, adding those Mustang engine mounts, doing a little bit of modification to the mounting brackets, really everything else goes so easy. Let's get that thing down onto the cross member there. Look at that. That is so awesome. So I've got to make a couple of tweaks here and there, but this is so cool. I am really, really excited. Off camera, I jumped up and down. I'm over the moon. I'm so ready to get the rest of this project done now. I feel really pumped up and like nothing can go wrong now. I mean, I'm sure I'll run into some snags, but gosh, what a huge hurdle this was. This has been a real challenge for me. It's a first project vehicle like this, and there's no manual for this. It's a one-off vehicle, and I have to figure out things as I go. I'm no fabricator, but I'm starting to learn how to weld, how to bend metal, how to cut metal. It's been a real journey for me, so I'm glad you're coming along. And since you've come to the end of the video, I'd like to show my appreciation by letting you meet Mac. He is our brand new black lab puppy. He's the newest member of our family. Thanks for watching.